Welcome to a spark of awareness. We live in a time where we are constantly being stimulated, prompted by systems, by algorithms, by AI. But when we outsource our answers, we slowly give away our authority, our inner voice, our self-mastery. Conscious leadership has no shortcut, no hack, and it can only begin from within. It is the courage to stop escaping and to sit with what's alive and present inside, even when it's very uncomfortable. But that's where growth is. And this podcast is a space for that. This podcast is an evolution. And every week, I will share a 15-minute human prompt, live, non-performative. It is a moment of reflection drawn from my work in conscious leadership, from the journeys of the leaders I coach and accompany, and from what is moving in a collective film of what is humanity and leadership. I am Sophie Vaux, a conscious leadership coach and guide of transformation. I support leaders who are crossing the threshold right now from the old system of leadership, a legacy, into a deeper, more conscious way of being. If the traditional model no longer resonates, know that you are not alone, and that is your weekly practice. This is your time with your inner world. This is your weekly spark of awareness. Welcome. Welcome to a new spark of awareness. So this week I want to cover the topic of career change or reconversion, because from my discussions with either clients, people I'm catching up with in tech, in games, there's something that has been happening in the industry. There's a fatigue of working in tech, maybe working in digital, working on games. Also, when we look at the games as an industry, not doing as well as during the golden years. And so we read about layoff week after week. I know some people who thought they were safe with a job and suddenly they lost the job, or they applied to another job and lost again the job a year after or 6 months after. Some of the friends, ex-colleagues who lost the job, try to apply again, and the nervous system can't take it. It's very stressful. They feel exhausted, unmotivated, and they leave, or they're let go eventually because they are not doing the best of their work. So if you find yourself in this place, just first of all, know you're not alone. You're actually among several thousands, 10,000, maybe even more at this time, who are asking themselves, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Does it still make sense for me to continue the next 10 years this way in tech, in games? And when is the right time to move? When is the time for a change? I'm having a lot of those conversations also in my coaching sessions. So I wanted to make a whole topic about it, about career change, identity change. We can also call this mid-career / midlife crisis. Yeah, it's real. Where we are at a point of life where we ask ourselves, how do I want to spend my time, my energy, my talent? Does it still make sense? So it's a process, and it's a process that have 7 steps. No, it's not the programs of 7 steps to get your abs or 7 steps to get super fit. There are, like you have 7 stages of grief. I have here 7 stages I would like to share of what happens when you are ready, or you're going to be forced to be ready to change something in your work, in your career. So the first step, there's a trigger. There's always an event that is going to force you to examine, are you in the right place? Is this what you're supposed to do in the work? And especially in an era of more technology, AI, automation, does that make sense to continue to grow skills into doing what machine can do? But anyway, the first step is triggers. And I have seen from experience, it can be a stage where one is taking full responsibility, ownership of their life, and say they decide, I'm ready to change, I'm ready to move. And they've been self-aware. So that's the first best case. Listening to what was going on at the work, in their body, the health is not so great, in the market, loss of jobs every week, thousands of jobs. So this first category of people, they also come to coaching. They are self-aware and they made a decision like, I see the wind is changing and I don't want to be forced to change when I will not have resources. So I want to own my destiny and I'm initiating the change. The second category of people during this first stage, which I call trigger, is when they are forced to change. So this is much more painful. For example, fired. You thought you were safe for the job and suddenly your job doesn't exist. And you try it again for another job and 6 months later you don't have a job, and so on and so on. So it's like trying to find a hook on something safe and nothing is safe and you're just like still falling, still falling. So it's kind of hard to also work when we do the coaching with people when they are in that state, because first we need to work on the stress level. There's a lot of things going on all at once. Job is not there, security is not there, and starts the question, who am I without the job? Can I survive? Am I safe? And it's all questions that are occupying the mind before the question of what do I want to do? So when we work in coaching, we work on regulating the nervous system and going back to center to build the foundation of I feel safe even when I don't have a job or I don't know what I'm going to do. So watch out for that. Watch out for the trigger event. Are you in the category of people who are taking the destiny, self-aware, and then I'm going to own the change, or what I call like more denial? It's okay, I'm okay, I don't need to change, I don't want to change. And you're going to be forced to change. I'm telling you, it's coming for everyone. It's a phase, stage of life. And then the second step that happens when you have a trigger event, I call it the second phase, the dance. It's the dance of back and forth. It's the dance of the old and the new. It's the dance of actually I'm okay, everything's okay, I don't need to change. And in that phase, it's everything that's going to be self-sabotage, self-talk, talking out of changing, evolving, fear. Oh, but what if people don't like me in my new identity, my new path? What if I lose my friendship, if I'm not part of a club of working in games, of a club of people who have a job? What if people don't like me? What if I don't have the resources? What if I don't have money and I'm going to live under a bridge? I hear everything in that phase. It's the ego, the unhealthy ego that is fighting back to prevent the change, the transformation, to let down the protection, everything that is building the mental, the fears, to evolve and to transform and to change. So if you find yourself in that stage, observe your thoughts, observe your talks, and observe also sometimes I like to take it with humor, absurdity of all the crazy stories we make up to not do the work, to not evolve. And that's part of human evolution, to grow and to let go and to have things die and to rebuild, adapt, new identity, change, and so on. So if you are looking to change, this is inevitable and the dance is part of the process. So second step is the dance. First step is anger or pain. You're tired to dance, the back and forth, your mind starts to be really exhausted, like I can't do this anymore. Maybe there are more events happening to your life, like the body is starting to tell you I'm exhausted. You start to have symptoms, health symptoms. Maybe you feel sick. Maybe there's some chronic symptoms. There's starting to get frustration, some also frustration about yourself, frustration about the world. So watch out for that. And this is also where the people who have not made the decision to make a change, like I said, they are forced to make the change because the pain, the frustration is so high that the mind doesn't have the power anymore to limit, make a decision. It's just, I have clients also coming to me or going to retreats with me. It's like, I'm just done. I'm tired with myself. I don't know what to do, and I can see that I'm going down the rabbit hole, digging my own hole, continuing this way. So it's like the threshold, pain or anger for the threshold. Fourth step, it's when the decision has been made. I have decided I want to change something. And it's a very important step because in my work, no point to work with people who have not decided to change. I have had clients in the past where we work against the current. It's like I'm here to push a direction, but the client does not want to change. So now I'm working only with people who have made a decision. I want to change my situation. I want to have more stability. I want to have more safety, financial freedom. I want to own my time. I want to feel vitality again at work. I want to feel invested, passionate about what I'm doing and not trading my time for money. So when the decision is in the body, this is the momentum. And this is for me the critical step when this is where people stay at the edge, or this is when people decide to make the jump, use the momentum, the energy of that moment to say, I'm done. I'm done with that phase. I want to change. For me, that momentum was when 2 times in a row in my career, I was having that surprise call to say, your team is made redundant or you are made redundant and everything you've built stays with us. Not even a thank you. It's like expendable. And the first time it happened, I said, I'm going to change something for me. I'm not going to experience that again. And then I let a year happen. I also tried another job. And then second time happened, I paid attention. I listened carefully and I said, no more. And there was never a third time. That was the moment, the shift 3 years ago, changed my career, said, I'm going to own my time and I'm going to own the way I spend time and energy and what I build. It's not like a corporate person that's going to decide just like that, swept under my feet and then take it away again. That's why I build my business. That's why now today I own my time. I work when I want to work. I don't work when I don't want to work. And it's a gift, but I have built it for myself. And I'm accompanying people to do that today because it's possible if you have decided. So it's not a question of capacity. It's first a question of decision and believing that you can make it. So use the momentum in the fourth step. The fifth step is grief. Grief because there's a part of you that's going to die. The career, 20 years of career, 15 years of career here and there, the achiever, all the identities that were associated with safety, with a role, but it has not worked for you now. So in this phase, we work a lot on letting go, dying an old identity. So for me, that phase as well, when I left my corporate status, I was quite known in gaming. I was associated with big companies. And I had to go through that process. Like, who am I when I don't have this glow anymore of the name of PlayStation or the name of, I don't know, Voodoo or the name of leader, CEO. I had to go through this to figure out who am I when I'm not wearing the mask, when I'm not having the title. And so that's a big process also for people when you change career to let go of who you were with the mask and the identity in the corporate world. Sixth stage, acceptance. Acceptance is like, okay, I accept that the person I was is no more. Accepting that, okay, my relationship, my comfort of lifestyle might be different, might not be less, but it will be different. Accepting that, okay, I may lose friendship, I may lose connection, but the people who are choosing to be with me just because of my title, do I really want those connections today? When I was earning 10K per month, that was my case, and then spending half of it to go to restaurants, to buy expensive things that was just piling up in my house that I didn't even have the time to use or energy to use. And now I'm earning kind of the same actually, and then give less taxes, so that's a benefit. And I don't need to spend that much because I don't need to compensate for what I'm missing in my life. And I'm spending even less. So my relationship to lifestyle and money and justifying my expenses because I work so hard, so I need to spend all that money, does not exist anymore. So during that acceptance phase, it's accepting that everything that was will change. Relationship to the self, relationship to others, relationship to money, even the view of life, purpose, what I'm here for. Am I here to maximize the profit of shareholders, or am I here to create something that I believe is valuable for others, for the world, and creating the reality that I wish to see? More love in the world, maybe more peace, more collaboration, more connection. And the last stage is the new self, new identity. After all that process, when you are changing career, when you are changing career reconversion, it requires an identity shift. And so that's when the work of self-inquiry really hits. Who am I today? Who am I without the role? Who am I without the high achievement, the performance? Who am I if I'm not having the 9 to 5 or 7 day job? And that's a work where I do a lot of guidance as well, because nobody knows how to do this work. Many people know who they are when they are employed. Many people know who they are when they are a citizen, when they are a nationality, when they are a label. But when you strip down all the labels, this is a place that many people fear. And this is actually the place where growth is. Because when I'm coaching founders who are afraid to fail the company, not because they are afraid to fail, they are afraid to face the question of who they are if they are not the company. For people who lose their job, who are they if they're not the job? So that's why we distract ourselves. We try to get the hook on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you know it deep down, it's not going to last forever. You're not going to have a job that will save you from discovering for yourself the question, who are you? Are you worthy when you're not doing this, achieving that? Are you worthy of love when you're not leading that company? And those are really deep, deep questions that are in the background of all the leaders I work with. It's fascinating for me how far one can go, raise millions, push themselves also to get sick, to really push themselves hard to avoid the question of, am I worthy of love? Am I enough? Will I be safe? So all of those stages, I will repeat them. First is the trigger, shock event. Second step, the dance, the back and forth. Third is more pain, anger, frustration, the threshold. Fourth step, the decision, the momentum. Fifth step, the grief, letting go, letting die, old identity. Sixth steps, acceptance. Seventh step, new identity, new self, new definition. And in the seventh step, your value system is going to change. So I have a lot of people who come and they know how to operate when they are employed. They know the system, they are very good at the system, where money, social status, how to play the rules, how to relate to others work really well. When you are in the free world, where corporate is not the mirror of the whole world, you're on your own, where people would choose to like you or not based on your title, but based on your inner qualities. And to go through that, first you need to actually like yourself before you can be comfortable for others to like you or not, you know. So there's a lot of inner work that is happening once you start the journey from the seventh step of the new identity, the new self, new value system. Maybe it's not trading time for money. It does not make sense in an economy where a lot of things are automated, but it's more trading value for money, for example. What is created with the same time, or energy unit. I like to think more about energy rather than time, and the value that is created, and that what is traded for money. It's a very different mindset. Also, what are we optimizing for? I would say beyond the time, we are optimizing more for energy. Back to the pyramid of Maslow, primary needs, need food, need sleep, which I would say in a developed country, most of the basis of population has. And what's after? It's all the stories, self-realization, self-actualization. But through that, what we need is connection, feeling that we're safe, human needs, feeling that we're worthy of love, feeling connected. And that, money can't buy. So that's all the realization when you're going to go through that journey. If you feel this is what's happening for you, if you find yourself in your different steps and struggling, know, first of all, you're not alone. And second, it's a deep work. And I'm glad I did not do this alone. I was accompanied by a coach for a year to navigate that with new identity, new self, new landmarks. So I hope this episode will help also for you if you find yourself a bit helpless right now in the industry and asking yourself, should I stay? And as usual, to close this episode, let's ground. So I'm inviting you to close your eyes and digest everything that has shared and feel in your body what's moving right now. Is there fear? Is there agitation, anxiety, excitement, relief? Feel what's the emotion moving for you as you've listened to this episode and find yourself in maybe one of the steps. And instead of staying in the mind, go back to your body always. And take a deep breath. And exhale. Breathe out and let go. Let go of the thoughts. Let go of the story. And connect back to your body and the sensation in your body. So breathing in. Breathing out. Slowing down your pace and your breathing. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. My invitation is, as you ground, you can listen again to the episode today or a few days later and see for yourself where you're at. Because if you're listening to this, there's a part of you that can sense the wind is shifting, you are shifting, and wondering where you are on that map and at which step you are. Self-awareness is the first step of change. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll connect with you next week. Thank you for tuning in into this weekly reflection, the weekly spark of awareness. After this episode, I invite you to take a few moments with yourself, even just 15 minutes, to sit with what resonated, to breathe, and to notice what is shifting inside. This is a practice, a discipline of presence, truth, and self-connection. If this work speaks to you, I accompany leaders in one-on-one journeys and group experiences of transformation, supporting them as they cross the threshold into a truer and freer way of leading and living. If you feel called to explore this path, I would love to hear your story, and let's connect. Sending you love and courage, and have a great week ahead. This is my spark of awareness.